Hi, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Secrets from the Saddle podcast. And of course, we always start with coaches' announcements. Now, the first thing I want to say is that our contest is still going on. We're still giving out prizes every Friday for reviews. Now, make sure you put your Instagram handle because I haven't been able to find the last couple people and thanking them for their reviews and to give them a prize, a giveaway. So that's the first thing. Don't forget to put out reviews and a rating and also share it with your fellow cyclists. I know that this episodes are going to touch hearts of everybody around the world, and it just goes to this one is the next one that's going to be so amazing. But before I get in there, I just have to share with you something that I am personally doing now. It's a 4-week cycling skills program, and what I love doing is I've been coaching online or coaching programs every winter for the last 16 years. And what I've done is I've taken the fundamental parts of the cycling skills program and I put them into different modules. So what does everybody want to learn? They want to learn how to become a more efficient cyclist, so in improving pedal stroke. They want to climb hills like a rock star, and they want to be able to have great strength, power, and speed. And plus, let's not forget, putting it all together with nutrition so you don't bonk on your ride. Now, wouldn't it be great to have all of that in a 4-week segment where you get to coach more one-on-one with me in my private Facebook group? So just go to the link in the description. Go to cycling. Well, here's the link: cyclingskillspro.com. cyclingskillspro.com or sylviedaou.ca. Either one will get you there. And we're starting July 8th. It's a private group, small. I'm only taking a certain amount of people because I really want to give a lot of value in this program, meaning we're going to have our weekly webinar where I'm going to teach you skills. I'm going to send you out with some homework, and then we're going to do Q&A so you can come back and ask me all the questions that you have had while doing your rides, while doing your drills, and so that you can better understand how to become and implement all these skills. Isn't that amazing? So 4 weeks in July. Let's do it. Make sure you subscribe or check it out. So cyclingskillspro.com. All right. Now, we're going to be talking about the author of this book, Promised Land. It's an amazing biography of Peter Coonstats escaping World War II and coming here to Canada and starting a family-run business. This man is amazing. He has such a story to tell. Get this book. His writing style is so enlightening, which means it's really good and entertaining. So just go. You can go to Coonstats.ca. I'll put a link in the bio, and you can buy it from his bike shop. He has one of the largest bike shops in Ottawa region, and he's a full supporter of downhill skiing because that's where they started. It's a really cool story. So get yourself a good reading book for the summer. All right, now listen to the episode with Peter. Welcome, everybody, to another amazing episode of Secrets in the Saddle, all things cycling with your host, Sylvie Daou. And we have a legend with us here. I would say a local legend, Peter Kunstadt. And the reason why is they have one of the oldest, I think, sports stores in the Ottawa region. They cater to so many sports, from like downhill skiing to tennis to cycling. And Peter is the father that it's a generational business. And I am so excited to have him here on the podcast because, like I said, this company is a legend. It's handed down throughout the generations. And here's just a little bit of a background about Peter, because we are actually going to talk about his memoirs or his book that you can actually purchase on their website, Coonstat.com. and get your own copy. I have not. I literally picked it up this morning, but I was able to brief through it a teensy bit. But we're going to get it from Peter. So here's a little bit of background of Peter. So Peter Kunstadt grew up in Czechoslovakia, having survived the internment during the Holocaust. He and his wife Susan came to Canada at the time of the Soviet occupation of their homeland in 1968. They, after enjoying a successful career of professional engineer, Peter retired early to take on full-time duties in the family business. Kunstadt Sports, an avid racer, avid skier, downhill racer, Peter tries hard to keep up with his sons and probably grandchildren now. Eric and Ron on the slopes, tennis courts, and bikes trails. He and Susan live in Kanata. So welcome to the podcast, Peter. I'm so honored to have you here.
Oh, thank you very much, and I am very honored for the introduction that I received, because it's quite wonderful. Well, most of it is kind of true, but it's very nice how you presented it. Thank you very much. So yes,
so we're going to jump right in, and Peter is going to we're going to talk about his history and, you know, coming to Canada, his passion for skiing, and then the family business, and, you know, just some of the history, because we need to hear it. I mean, you can read about it, but I want to hear it from Peter. So take it away, please.
Okay, well, there we go. Yes, as you said, I was born in Czechoslovakia. And I think it could be said that I was born at the wrong time, because shortly after I was born, we were in the middle of the Second World War, and my parents, well, being of Jewish origin, that was not a great thing to be under Nazi occupation in Central Europe. And to make a long story short, my father ended up in an extermination camp. Very few people actually got out of there, in Mauthausen in Austria, and I was a baby, and I spent some quality time in a concentration camp with my mother. I was about a year and a half old when the Russian army liberated that camp, and I don't remember anything. I just know what my parents told me. So I don't want to dwell on this. This is so I grew up in a communist system. As I was growing up in elementary and high school, it was still the time of Joseph Stalin in the East. So it was a lot of that kind of police brutality, and a lot of people died. As a matter of fact, Joseph Stalin had made a record of actually destroying more lives than Adolf Hitler. He actually killed more people than Adolf Hitler, and the difference was that Adolf Hitler just openly said that he wants to kill all the whole generation of a certain group of people, like the Jews, the Gypsies, etc., etc. Stalin killed his own people. Anybody who disagreed with him, he killed them. He put him in jail, and they never came out. And as a matter of fact, my family had an interesting. Well, it's not my family. My wife's family had one of the occasion, and you will see it in a book. Her dad, one day, she was a young kid. She was like 7 years old. I don't even know how old she was. One day, the police came at 2 o'clock at night and picked up her father. They took him away at 2 o'clock at night, and for 2 months, nobody even knew where he was. It was they just took him away. He was in jail. He was actually sentenced for 2 years, and nobody really knows exactly what he was accused of. then then they just released him, and anyway, that just anyway. So this is where I grew up, and if somebody thinks that any that I'm very conservative, and I'm very and I resent anybody that comes up with all kinds of socialist and communist ideas. Well, there you go. Maybe you know why.
Yeah.
Because I lived it. I knew what it was all about. And anyway, so there. One of the big milestones in my life. Stop me if I'm telling you stuff that you don't want to hear.
No, you just talk, Peter, because like, I mean,
okay, thank you.
I just want to hear it all, and I'm sure
Okay,
like
so,
our listeners would are just want to hear it as well. Like, you know.
it's amazing. I mean, it is. I just don't know who if everybody is interested in that story. So one of the big milestones in my life was when one of my mother's brothers, who lived in Colorado in the United States, came to visit. That was the first time he ever saw an American. He came to our town of Košice, and he came to visit. My mother had 7 brothers.
Oh.
Some of them didn't survive the war. Some of them didn't survive the concentration camps, but she still had a lot of brothers. And I have a whole bunch of cousins all over the planet. Because
how did they defect and get to the States?
Well, that was okay. Well, there you
Sorry.
go. Okay, so he escaped. He escaped when there was a rumor of the Nazi or the Germans advancing on Czechoslovakia. He crossed the bridge from Bratislava, which is now the capital of Slovakia. He crossed the bridge to Austria, to Vienna is like 50 kilometers away from Bratislava. That's almost on the other side of the river Danube. And the interesting thing was that the last person who saw him on the bridge was my father, and he was still not married to my mother. They were just whatever. So he escaped there and joined the Czech army in England. So he was in the Air Force fighting the Germans as a soldier, but it was the Czech military fighting the Germans from England. So he lived in England, where he actually met his future wife. And when the war was over, he was in England, and he moved to the United States. He moved to Colorado, and he moved to Colorado because he grew up in the mountains.
Right.
So he wanted to be back in a country that resembled where he grew up. That was quite interesting. I mean, my mother was
sense. Near the ski hills too.
What's that?
Near the ski hills too.
Oh yeah, Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Okay, so my uncle comes to Slovakia to visit, and I was all excited. I mean, I was and of course I was a student, just graduated high school, just learned how to drive a car. So, and we did have a car. We actually had a car. My father gave me the car and let me drive my uncle around the country. And so he's driving me around, and he's taking me. Like, I mean, we went back to where they were born, which is the Czech part of the country. Yeah, they are from Moravia, which is like sort of like the eastern part of Bohemia, the Czech Republic now. And so we went to visit where they were born, where they grew up, and all these things. It was very interesting for me. And then we went back to Slovakia, and he just keeps telling me, turn right, turn left, and stop here. I said, okay, well, we stop here. And my uncle was a tough guy. He was like no emotions, no nothing. And there we are, standing in front of a kind of a monument in Banská Bystrica in Slovakia. And I'm sorry.
Oh,
my uncle is getting emotional,
Mm.
So anyway, so later I found out that there was a kiln. There was a kiln where where his parents, my grandparents, perished. They were thrown in that kiln. Sorry.
It's okay.
So I never knew about that. So then we just traveled a little bit, and I showed him the mountains, the high Tatras, and we did all these things. And then at one point he said, "Would you like to come and visit in Colorado?" Because we got kind of close. I said, "Of course, yeah, I want to go to America. I mean, who doesn't want to go to America, especially from that hellhole where I lived?"
Yeah.
And so in 1967, I was the lucky guy who actually went to. I don't know if you heard of Prague Spring. Anyway, so he arranged it for me to be able to visit, and so I ended up in Colorado Springs, and I met with my cousins, his kids, and whatever. The interesting thing was that only at the airport when they met me, first thing he says, and he said it in Czech, so his kids wouldn't understand. He says, "Don't tell them we are Jewish." I said, "Okay, whatever you say." You know, they were so traumatized by all these things that happened during the war that they hid their identity. He changed his name from Weinstein to Wells, so he's got a very American name. And my cousins, I now have a cousin in Colorado, Tony Wells and Denise Wells, and the American cousins. They are 100%, no, anyway. So there we are. So I spent some real quality time in Colorado. I thought I knew English when I got there, but when the plane landed in New York at Kennedy Airport, that was the first stop. I didn't understand the word the Americans were saying because I learned English from some British teachers, and I didn't understand a word.
Well, there's a lot of American dialect too.
Well, I mean, it was New York. I mean, I don't even know. Anyway, so I survived. I managed to change planes. Went to Chicago, then from Chicago to Denver, then from Denver to.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And I managed all that, with my broken English, and so I landed there in Colorado Springs, and I spent 9 months in Colorado. I was skiing, I was doing stuff, but the most important thing was. Yeah, and I met a general that my uncle was in a civil air patrol, so he had some connection to the armed forces. So this general, he heard that I was on a national team of Czechoslovakia skiing, so he wanted to ski with me.
Oh,
cool. So he took me to Vail a few times. We skied together. It was quality time anyway. So, but the important thing was that I got a job. I got a sort of a part-time job at the Denver Equipment Company where they make pumps and so on and so on. And so I learned, first of all, I learned English and from my cousins, and I learned the technical stuff. I was already an engineer, but I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand the drawings. I couldn't, they use the fractions, inches.
Right.
So I learned all that, and later in 1968, when I got to Canada, I was ahead of everybody because I spoke fluent English. I understand through the drawings on my resume. There was 9 months or maybe 6 months at Colorado. A Denver Equipment Company at Colorado Springs. So I came to Montreal, and I actually had to refuse 2 jobs because I got 3 offers and I only could take 1. So people were pissed off. People were really upset, saying,
Peter,
"Who do you think you are? You just got off the airplane and you're refusing my job."
How lucky are you? So did you, after Colorado, did you go back to Czechoslovakia and then to Montreal?
Remember I mentioned Prague Spring? Yes.
Yeah.
While I was in Colorado, things have changed in Czechoslovakia. for there was the precursor of what happened with Gorbachev when the communist system completely fell apart. But at that time, there was a political movement that was referred to as the Prague Spring. So suddenly the leader who was Alexander Dubček, you may have heard that name.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. I mean, he was the leader of the country at the time, and he decided that people should get some freedom. You know, that freedom of expression, which we never had. I mean, when you said something that the government didn't like, they put you in jail, just like that. It was very efficient system. You know, like. Anyway, so there was that, and while I was in Colorado, I was alone. I was lonely, and I was kind of homesick, and the other, and so on. And then I heard about all these great things that are happening back in Czechoslovakia. So I said, you know, why don't I just go back? We already had made arrangements that Susan would come and join me, and we would get married somewhere. And
okay, so this is where I'm getting at. When did you meet your wife?
I met her when she was 5 years old.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's another part of the story. I mean,
okay, well, because like I was like, okay, you're in Colorado. I know that you came to.
She was already yeah. We were already dating. I mean, she was 5
okay.
years younger than me, so for a long time she was too young for me.
Oh.
When I was a teenager, I was not interested. I mean, she was like 10 years old. I mean, who cares? But our parents were friends.
Oh, okay.
And so we kind of grew up together, and
okay, I got it.
At one point, you know, at one point, my mother and her mother, I think they made, I don't know. I'm not saying it was arranged,
they
but
kind of made like a little arrangement. So like your son and my daughter, and that's
yeah.
So you guys
I was dating some other girls, and I just broke up with my girlfriend of 6 years and whatever. And suddenly, all of a sudden, little Susan needed new skis, and who would be the expert to help her buy the skis? Well, guess who? So we went to buy her skis, and then we bought skis, and then we needed to put the bindings on. So like we went to their house. I used to go there frequently anyway.
So this is back in Czech.
But you. Oh yeah.
This is before you went to Colorado. So you're on the ski team. You're like after high school, and she is now a grown woman, and you're like, hey.
It was big
okay, perfect. So you guys,
yes,
you guys were together before you went.
You had all the features
went to Colorado.
That you were looking for, you know.
I just had to get that in. I'm like, where does Susan fit in here?
I don't know how much time you have, because this is getting to be
well, no, I know that there's Susan's been in there. So you're in Colorado. You went back, and you got her.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so I was homesick, and so we said, you know, let's get out of I'll go back home, and we'll start again. Like with hindsight, that was the dumbest thing I have ever done. I mean, I left North America, went back into that crazy place, you know. That was silly. Anyway, so I'm back in. But I made some money at the Denver Equipment Company, so I made enough money to pay my uncle back for the airfare, which was not very much, and I had enough money to buy a new car. There was a system in Czechoslovakia where you could get a preferential way of purchasing things if you had dollars. But of course, I had dollars.
Right.
So they had an outlet in New York. So on my way back, I stopped in New York in that company called Tuzex, and I bought myself a Fiat 850, a brand new car, $1,700 tax and delivery included.
Whoa!
$1,700 brand new car. Yeah, that was back a long time ago. Yeah. So I thought, you know, this is it. I mean, I'm cool. I'll be in Czechoslovakia, and I'll I'll have a car. I mean, how much better can it get? So I get there and I land in Prague. And the first thing I knew, I met the first customs officer that I met in Prague. I said, "Oh, you idiot! What?" Look, suddenly I knew that I made a big mistake. That was just dumb. She was yelling at me. I carried my skis with me, and she gave me hell for inconveniencing her with all my junk and all that. Oh, I said, "Oh yeah, here we are." but but anyway, so but I mean, there was a lot of positives because I came back home and I was I met Susan. My parents came there, and it was very nice. So the next day, I was gonna pick up that baby blue Fiat at Tuzek's at the Tuzek's office in Prague.
Uh-huh.
So I get to Prague, and the next day I go with Susan. I said, let's go and get pick up my car. I had the documents. We showed up at that place. I said, hey, I came to pick up my baby blue Fiat, and this lady says, well, we have no cars at all. I said, what do you mean? I just paid for it. Oh wow, no. Okay, so her uncle, who happened to be, it's funny how things happen, because her uncle, Eugene Steiner, was happened to be going to elementary school with my father in Bratislava. I don't know how that happened, but it was her mother's cousin, and he was a wheeler dealer. Like he knew his way around. So Susan calls him and he says, we're trying to pick up that car and they are telling us there is no car. He says, do you have any dollars? Do you have any cigarettes? I said, yeah, I got cigarettes, I got dollars, whatever you want. So we go, and he goes. He starts at the office, gives somebody $1, gives somebody a pack of cigarettes, another, like the corruption, like you would never believe. I mean, after a few,
it just took a pack of cigarettes to get your car.
Well, yeah, I mean, after a few dollars, after a few cigarettes, suddenly we were in a big field of Fiats. That was like it was like a big field of Fiats.
I'll take that.
And not only that, but so this uncle even bribes that guy that was watching the parking lot there. And this guy says, "Oh, would you like to?" And he winks. He says, "Would you like a damaged car?" I said, "Well, show me what the damage is." I mean, I couldn't find the damage. There was no damage. So I got a white Fiat, not the baby blue. That was one of the things. But yeah. I also got $300 back.
Oh.
I got a car and the US dollar cash, like whatever the equivalent. So anyway, so there we had the Fiat, and it was all good. Okay, I have to skip here because it's just.
So now you got Susan, and you're back.
So I got Susan, and you
go back to Canada.
That was May when I got there. Then came the summer, and we were gonna go with a whole bunch of friends to camp in Romania to the Black Sea, to the seaside of, and because anyway, so we are camping there. And for whatever reason, for some reason, we got there a few days later than our friends. So we joined them at the beach. We set our tent and so on. And then their vacation was over, and we still have a few days. So we stayed alone for a few days. And I mean, the campsite in Romania is not like the campsite that there is nothing reserved. You come to the beach, park your car, and put up your tent. So some people would put tents in front of other people's tents, and it was a chaos. So 21st of August, 1968, August 21, 1968. I am sleeping in my tent all by, minding my own business, and Susan is waking me up. She says, we are being occupied. I said, leave me alone. I want to sleep. She says, but we are being occupied. I said, well, okay. Well, I wake up in the morning and I'll go argue with the guy who put the tent in front of mine. And so she keeps on arguing with me that you gotta get up, you gotta get up. And so what happened was that the Russians were not comfortable with all the freedoms that Dubček gave to to Czechoslovak nation. And so so the Russians took all our brothers, our friends, the Warsaw Pact, the Hungarians, the Poles, the East Germans, etc., etc., and attacked Czechoslovakia. They landed in Prague with tanks and airplanes and everything, and beat the crap out of everything. I mean, there was a war zone.
And you guys are camping.
It was not the camping. There was not the camping she was worried about. I didn't know that.
Wow.
She heard about what happened, right? And Ceausescu, you know, the president of Romania, said he refused to participate. So we kind of said, okay, now Romania is not participating. That kind of piss off the Russians. We are in Romania. That's gonna be bad news. You know, we gotta get out of here. Either we go back home quickly, or we don't go home and never go home. So,
did you go straight to the airport?
No, we had a car. We were in.
Yeah. You just started driving
on the beach with the car. So yeah. So we kind of, you know. So anyway, so we were kind of deciding, making decisions, and we decided that we're gonna go west. We're gonna go away, and the first country that we were able to get into, that was sort of like between communism and the West, was Yugoslavia.
Oh, okay.
Yugoslavia was a communist country, but there was a lot of freedoms there, and they were not happy with what the Russians did, so they helped the Czechoslovakians. So we went to. Oh yeah, so I stopped. I stopped at a bank because I had some vouchers that I needed to cash before we went, and so I go in that bank and I get some Romanian cash. That was a big deal to have money there. I mean, okay, long story. So I get out of the bank, and there is another Fiat beside mine, and Susan is sitting in the other car. I go, wow, that's gonna be somebody I know. So. So there is our friend Igor Kropach, who was a guy. He was on a national team water polo player, and so Susan meets them on the street. That bumps into them accidentally. She says, "Where are you going?" They said, "Well, we're going home." You know, the cars had no radio, so they had no idea what was going on. So she told them what's going on, and Igor, you know, he was like kind of very a decision maker. He says, "That's it. We're going with you. Don't worry. I have money. I have German money. Don't worry about it." So I said, "Okay, wow. Fair enough. So I will pay for everything in Romania. Then when we cross the border, then we'll use your money." You know what he had? He had 5 Deutschmarks. That's like $3. He thought he was rich.
So you had enough for gas.
Okay, well, back there, but not even for gas. I mean, it was just that. Okay, so we get to the border between Romania and Yugoslavia, and of course there is a big lineup because all the Westerners are getting the hell out of you know, from behind the Iron Curtain, and there is a big lineup, and you know, something again that you wouldn't understand probably. In order to leave your country, not only do you need the visa of the country where you want to go, but you have to get exit visa, a permit from your government to leave. And of course, we got to the Yugoslavian border, and they said, "Well, no, you cannot go because you don't have that that permit." The only person that had that permit was me. I happened to have it. Because that's another long story. My father was going to a conference in Belgrade, and he wanted me to be with him, so he got me that permit. So anyway, so now we are on the Romanian border, have nowhere to go. We were stopped, and so the guy says, so we said, "So what do we have to do?" "Oh, you have to go to the Czech embassy and get the permit." But the Czech embassy was back in Bucharest. That's like back 400 kilometers, you know, 400 kilometers on those roads with the potholes, and the potholes that were bigger than my car. You know.
So did you give him some cigarettes?
No, I wasn't as smart as the uncle, but so we were looking for, so Igor and I decided that we'll take one car and go back to Bucharest, and we find a hotel for the girls. He actually had a son, a 2-year-old boy.
Oh.
So for the two girls and a boy, and so we're looking for a hotel. And while we're doing that, my girlfriend at that time, Susan, she says, but Belgrade is only 60 kilometers on the other side of the border. Why don't how about that? I said, oh yeah, that's a great plan. So but the problem was that only I could go to Belgrade. So we decided that that's what we do.
Oh, okay.
And we kind of agreed that we will meet on the border the next day at 10 o'clock or whatever time.
Yeah.
And you know, that the border looks like in the movies, you know, like there is the zigzag kind of road, so you couldn't go fast, and then water barriers, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And of course you always would have to have a guy with a machine gun there on the border, right? So never want to be without that. So anyway, so we already have driven the whole night, and it's the morning, and it's kind of night again, and I took all their passports. So I went to Yugoslavia with everybody's passport, but I only was allowed to go Yugoslavia and not allowed to go back. So we had to meet at the border.
Oh.
And I would have to hand them the passports. So I said, well, that's what I do what I have to do.
And then they were able to pass into Yugoslavia, and you guys would.
They would be, yeah. It's not exactly what happened.
I'm sure.
Okay, yeah, all right. So I got across the border. There was a guy that needed a ride. He asked me for a ride. I said, well, sure, of course. I give you a ride. I would even appreciate if you could drive, but he couldn't drive. He didn't know how to drive. Not everybody had cars over there. So he took me to his home, and he was very kind to me. He says, in the morning, I'm going downtown in Belgrade. I can take you to the Czech embassy, and then whatever. So I said, yeah, perfect. So we went to the Czech embassy. I said goodbye to him. And then there was this young consul, and he said, hey, he knew my name. He knew me from, I was on a national team. I mean, and Igor. So like he was a kind of a sports fan, so he knew who I was.
You're like,
oh, no problem. Here we go. And they were mad at the Russians.
My gosh.
Anyway, so they gave me all that thing, except they have written in the Czech language. Yugoslavia allowed in all the passports. I said, okay, that's perfect. So little did I know, I come the next morning out to the border, and they walk up to me, and we are now beside that guy with the machine gun. And they took the passports proudly and go to the border, to cross the border and come and join me. And I was smart enough to turn the car around and have the engine running, and I was just waiting for them. I look around, and next thing I see, they are coming walking. I said, hey, what happened, guys? Oh, and they were very upset, because the Romanians, they don't understand Czech. The Romanian is a Latin language, They would understand French better than they would understand Czech.
Oh.
Yeah, Romanian is not a Slavic language. So anyway, the guy couldn't understand it, so he said, forget it, you can't do it. But a lot of Romanians speak Hungarian, and we speak Hungarian. We learn Hungarian because we came from a bilingual city. And so we are standing there and wondering what to do, and then just commiserating with each other. And while we are doing that, we are talking, and Igor is talking in Hungarian with this soldier with the machine gun. And he's like having small talk with him and having fun with him, and while he's talking Hungarian with this guy with the machine gun, he says, get in the car and get the hell out of here. In Slovak, so the soldier didn't understand. So there I was. So there we got in my car, and everybody on the front seat because the back seat was full of camping gear. Right? That's a little car, it's a little
I know
Pop-Up,
it's a little car.
yeah, it's a Fiat 850. It's about as big as it's a 500 that you have here.
But it's got a back seat, right? Like a very
back seat, but I had my camping gear on the back seat because the trunk was nothing.
Yeah.
So everybody was sitting on the front seat of a little Fiat. And I am driving, and I'm gonna say, "Oh, this guy's gonna panic and shoot the crap out of us." And so next thing we know, we get in Yugoslavia. I turn behind the building. I said, "Here it is. We are safe." And then it dawned on me. So here I am in Yugoslavia with two girls and a kid. How am I gonna take care of everybody? What am I gonna do?
So he was distracting
Igor
him.
was back in Romania because he told us to get the hell out of there, but he was still there, right?
Did you ever see him again?
Yeah. Well, we sent him a message to say that, just leave the car behind and walk over. Walking was possible. And so about 2 hours later, Igor walks up and we said, "Well, good for you. We left the car." He said, "Well, I didn't leave the car. The car is coming." So he found some Italian guys. I don't know how he spoke with them because he doesn't speak Italian. They don't speak Slovak or Hungarian or whatever. I don't know how he explained it to them, but make a long story short, it's already a long story.
This is good.
They took his car. Italian car, they showed an Italian passport and the Romanian let them go and he walked over. That's it. So there we were in Romania with two cars. Everybody was there and we had 5 Deutschmarks.
Oh God.
There we were. So anyway,
and then this led all of you guys, or just you and Susan, coming over to Canada.
Oh, it was just me and Susan coming to Canada.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So in Belgrade, the Yugoslavians took care of us, and we stayed in a university dormitory, and we had 3 meals a day, and they took care of us. They were very nice to us, and they really hate the Russians, so it was a good arrangement.
Yeah.
And we went to every embassy of the world, but nobody was ready because it just happened 3 days before that. We were at the Canadian embassy, but unfortunately they said, "Oh yeah, we would love to have you, but we have to wait for instructions from Ottawa. Can you wait 3 weeks?" I said, "I can't wait 3 weeks. What am I gonna do here for 3 weeks?" So Igor actually had an uncle or somebody in Germany who vouched for us and let us come over. So we drove our cars to Germany and ended up there. While we were in Germany, Susan's parents, like Susan's dad, actually was already in the Cologne area looking for a job because they were feeling so guilty during that time. They said, "You go where you want and see if you can." He was a doctor. He was a pediatrician.
Right.
So he was already established. He was already, So there is a lot of story in between there, but I mean, we met.
For everybody, you're going to have to read the book to get all the stories. We're just going to get like the notes.
How much more time do we have?
Well, let's get to Canada.
I still didn't make it to Canada.
Let's get to Canada.
Okay, so I just So we met Susan's parents in Germany, and so we moved to Cologne, actually to Leverkusen. That's a suburb of Cologne. That's where Bayer companies, the aspirin company, that's in Leverkusen. That's a suburb of Cologne. Okay. Anyway, so and of course, first thing I was looking for a job. I wanted to get some money because I said, when we crossed the border to Germany, I told Susan, "Listen, I'll do whatever you want, but I'm not staying in Germany. I'm not living here." And she said, "Okay, fair enough." So it's too many Germans there, you know.
Yeah, really.
And it was still close to after the war, and I had all these prejudices, and I just couldn't deal with it. Now I have lots of very good friends who are German, and it's all good. But so I found a job at Ford Motor Company. They gave me a job, and so for a month or two, I was working there in quality control, and I made a few bucks. They tried to sell me a Ford car all the time. I said, I mean, in that big Ford parking lot, mine was the only Fiat. Anyway, so and then one of these days we found out that the Canadian government was giving the Czech refugees a chance to do it. And of course we were, you know, like, so the first thing we went, we drove to Düsseldorf, where there was a Canadian consulate, and there was a young consul, a young guy, everybody, and we hit it off with him right away, because I spoke English well. Susan spoke a little bit English, but I could speak the kind of teenager slang that the Americans and we were young, and we were healthy, we were tanned, and it was all good. So he was telling us about his Porsche, like the car. He says he can make a 90-degree curve at 100 kilometers an hour. I said, well, good for you, man. I'm proud of you. Well, he didn't care, but like I said, do you want to go to Canada tomorrow? We said, no, but give us a week or two, because you have to break it to Susan's parents. So anyway, so that's how we ended up in Canada. I mean, when they asked us where we want to go, there was one person in the whole country of Canada that we knew. That was Susan's father's cousin. He's an architect. He was an architect in Montreal, and so we went to Montreal. So we went to Montreal straight there, and so now we are in Canada, and Susan's uncle is taking care of us and helping us find a job. And like I told you, my resume was so impressive for them, because I could speak English. I had the American experience. I had a master's degree in engineering, and that was all cool. So I actually refused the job with Dominion Bridge and another company. I forgot who they were, and I got hired by Canadian Vickers, a company that builds build at that time. They built big ships and big stuff, and also components for reactors. That's an important item, because that affected me 10 years later.
Okay.
So we were building components for CANDU reactors.
Yeah.
And so I learned all about this stuff, and I made a bit of a career there. I became a chief industrial engineer. So I was in charge of labor estimating and all kinds of stuff like that. So I knew Atomic Energy of Canada because they were my customer. They were our company's customer. So 10 years later, anyway, so I made a bit of a career there, and we bought a house, and we had 2 kids, Eric and Ronnie.
Yeah. So
they were born in Montreal. Yeah.
Okay, so where does Coonstats, the store, come from? Because it says you took the family business. Who had Coonstats before you?
Nobody. We created like right here, like you're looking at it. I mean, this is my basement.
Yeah, okay.
This is where our business started.
Okay, so when did you start Coonstats?
We started here in the house, right here, like 2 meters from here.
Wow.
We started here in 1988.
88. Okay, so let's go back. All right, hold on. Okay, so 78, you moved to Ottawa. And that's had the kids, you had Eric and Ronnie.
Yeah, Eric and Ronnie were, Eric was born in 69 and Ronnie in 70. So they were teenagers.
Yeah. Now,
but they were like, they were young adults.
What made you, okay, so let's get into the mind process about getting,
made us
like,
come to
starting a
Ottawa?
sporting good store? Like, you were an engineer, you
Oh,
moved to
you know,
Ottawa.
Eric. Well, it's a good question. You know, Eric, when he was a kid,
Yeah.
he had this thing. He says, Eric used to say, "I will never have a boss." I said, "Okay, well, good luck to you, man." And you know what? He never had a boss. That was like, you know, I mean, it worked out for him. I mean, he was
I can see that.
yeah, he's kind of a born entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that, because I grew up in that oppressive system, and I have no background with you know, like I you know, I don't buy anything. Even today, I don't buy anything that I cannot pay for. I don't owe money for a car, or I don't have a mortgage. I have nothing. You know, if I need a car, I'll buy a car that I can pay in full, and so
that
on.
is very smart.
Okay, but you cannot run a successful business like that.
Yeah.
And Eric is much smarter than that.
Yeah. So, okay. So you were in Montreal working as an engineer. What brought you to Ottawa?
Okay, in one word.
Yeah.
René
No,
Lévesque.
not one word. You could.
René Lévesque, 2 words.
What?
René Lévesque.
Oh, René Lévesque. Oh, you left Quebec.
Yeah. I mean, it was 1976 or 7 when he got elected.
Right.
And we kind of, you know, and suddenly there were all kinds of new rules, you know, and we overreacted. We kind of panicked, because a lot of our friends just stayed there and everybody was happy. I mean, I said, you know, like, once again, somebody's telling me what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do, and this and the other. And I said, well, let's get so
let's get the hell out.
No big rush. I mean, we were not in a big hurry, but I said, well, we gotta move.
So then you had to leave your job.
So yeah, I had to leave my job. So while I had my job, I was looking for another job. They didn't have to know, right?
Right.
And out of many contacts, I made a contact with Atomic Energy of Canada, who actually, those people actually knew me, some of them, and I had probably a pretty good reputation. So anyway, make a long story short again, and another long story, I got hired by Atomic Energy of Canada in Kanata, you know, the commercial products.
Yeah.
It's now called Nordion. It was privatized. It was privatized by Brian Mulrooney.
Oh, okay.
It used to be Atomic Energy of Canada, you know, the Crown Corporation, and then it was privatized. So it's a private company now. Anyway, so I got hired by Atomic Energy, and then I retired from Nordion, but it's the same place.
Oh,
same building, same, yeah.
Now we're okay. So 78, right? You moved to Ottawa, and 88, you started Kunstadt Sports, or Eric started it.
Well, we started it together. No, I started together. I mean, he was a kid. I mean, he was a.
Well, yeah, he would have been like
he was
under 20.
He was 18.
18, yeah.
19, yeah.
Okay, so you guys started it together.
So we started in my basement while I kept my full-time job.
Right.
So we were like, you know, it all started by, of all things, we purchased a tennis racket stringing machine, because the boys were playing tennis and were breaking strings all the time, and we couldn't keep up with the payment. and so we went to buy a second-hand stringer, and so we started stringing their rackets. And as they were stringing rackets, we said they were going to tournaments, and they offered the string services to their friends, and suddenly we were stringing rackets for other people. And we always, from the beginning, we did service, you know, real good service. You would go and pick up your racket, string it, take it back to you. We didn't make any money, but it was always good service. Then came winter, and we were ski racing, tuning our skis. And so we said, yeah, well, we already have a clientele. Let's tune skis for people. So there we were tuning skis, and of course I kept my job. I was you know, that was not a business that you could make a living with. The guys were in school. Ronnie was at Ottawa U. Eric was at Algonquin studying business. Actually, Ronnie studied phys ed.
Just a second, Peter. I don't know where that came
Is it something
from.
I said?
No.
I hope it's not what I said. I didn't.
Well, this
choke
is
you,
really
right?
interesting because, like, I know, like, so you started with stringing tennis rackets, and I know if I go to the store on Bank Street, like near 2nd and 3rd, right at the door, there's like a tennis stringing machine.
Yeah. Oh, we string rackets. I mean, it's a big thing, and the quality. You know, we have the best machines now, and absolutely.
Wow. So then you moved into skiing.
So then skiing, but we were still in my house, you know, until 1993. You know, I was on a.
Oh, no way! Really? 93? Okay, that's pretty normal.
So for
that's
5 years.
That's like 5 years.
We were doing it from our house. From my house, you know.
Yeah, and then you're like, you need to get a location because, like.
Well, it was like that, you know. Like one day I came from a business trip because I was traveling for, you know. Anyway, so I come from a business trip, and my basement is full of secondhand ski boots and stinks like an old gym, all kinds of stuff. Eric says, I said, what the hell is this? Eric says, we are opening a store.
Oh.
I said, well, okay, man.
Okay.
Okay, well, he just freaked me out. Anyway, so, you know,
you're like, good, you're going to move this out of my basement.
Yeah. So he wanted to, right? And he did. So the Kanata store, we rented a little corner in that building that is today our Kanata store.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's the original store, the Kanata?
Yeah. I mean, originally there was a restaurant, there was a dentist, there was all kinds of different businesses there, and we just rented a little space, very small space, and we only had secondhand stuff because you couldn't get any new equipment. Nobody would sell it to you, you know. So we started that was August 1993, and I still kept my job because I gave and I was working there every day. I mean, we had I was for the first 3 years I was the only mechanic. So I would go to work, and at lunchtime I would go to the store and repair a bicycle and go back to work. And after work I would go and fix bikes, and I would take a 3-week vacation, and I was working in a store, and I didn't get any salary. I was just helping my kids. I was just doing.
Well, that's usually what happens. So they went from tennis to skis, then into bikes.
Yeah, and we tried other things. We tried hockey, we tried golf, and all kinds of stuff. And then you learn, you know, that you do what you're good at. I mean, we know skiing, we know tennis, we know bikes,
right?
And let the guys who are experts in golf do the golf. I mean, and that's what. So just focus on servicing or giving good service to customers and be be efficient and quality and so on. You know, many people are happy to pay a little extra for extra quality and extra service.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And we are our prices are very competitive. I mean, we are not expensive. I mean,
so hey, Peter.
Yeah.
Was your last name always Coonstats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine always was.
Okay, so you never ended up changing your name.
No, I didn't change my name. I mean, it was not. No.
Okay. I just wanted
my uncles,
like your cousin changed his name when he went to the States.
My mother had 7 brothers, and they have 3 different names.
Oh.
One is called Wells in Colorado. One is called Svoboda in Prague, and 2 or 3 of them were called Vinařický. That's sort of like a loose translation of Weinstein, you know, into Czech.
Oh.
So, yeah, you couldn't tell, you know, like I have cousins that have different names, and they're all first cousins.
Oh wow!
Anyway, but that's
oh my gosh, your family tree must
my name is I mean, the family suffered because of having that name, but it's all good. We're okay.
Okay, so I was
I
just
never
wondering,
changed
because
my
so
name.
Kunstadt Sports, that makes sense, your last
Yeah.
name.
Well,
And
yeah. So yeah, and we called it Kunstadt Sports even when we were in the basement.
right.
I have some old posters here from 1988 on.
Oh
Still,
my
still,
gosh, those are
I
awesome.
maintain that workshop. I still tune my skis there, and it's my workshop. It's still there. So
I'll drop my.
yeah. So then came 1999, and and the business was progressing, was
Yeah.
becoming established, and we had a lot of new skis, new bikes, and I mean we still traded in second hand, but we had an impressive line of new products, and the kids, and I remember we had a meeting at Mont Tremblant. We were skiing at Mont Tremblant, first day of opening of 1999, December 1999.
Like officially the hill?
Yeah, first day they opened the hill in
Oh, no
1999.
way.
No, but
99.
when they opened the season, I mean they were open.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so we sat in the cafeteria, and Ronnie says, "Well, how much longer are you gonna work in that Nordion? Why don't you just join us here?" And I told him how much I'm being paid there. He said, "Oh, we can't."
Well,
I said, "Never mind, So but I mean, we talked about it, and we kind of came to a conclusion that I can take a retirement. So I took an early retirement, which decreased my pension, but I got some kind of a pension, and so I joined the business, and so for the first 10 years I was working in the business with no compensation. Then I joined then I retired, and I joined the business full time, and I was taking, but anyway, so here we are, and so here we are in 2021, and we have a successful thing going, and I'm very proud of how we responded to the COVID pandemic,
yeah.
because we had an online store, but now the online store is very strong, and the curbside pickup didn't confuse us at all. I mean, we picked up for bicycles and skis for service right at the curb. We bought and sold stuff. You could buy stuff online and pick it up at the store or curbside or whatever. And when it was allowed to have customers inside the store. So I'm very proud that we managed. As a matter of fact, Monica surprised me by saying that during this COVID pandemic, we actually hired more people.
Oh, that's
very
great.
cool. I'm very proud of how this is. And I
kind
tell
of
you, I'm
makes,
very proud of our staff, because those are awesome people. I mean, every one of our employees is an athlete of some kind. Every time you need expertise, you will be talking to a biker, or a tennis player, or whatever you need, whatever. Yeah. So
yeah.
anyway,
No,
this is
my cycling club, Cycle Fit Chicks, was sponsored by your store for 2 years, and we had a great experience there. Good service, good deals. We did some shopping nights. We had a barbecue. We did bike maintenance clinics, and it was good times. But I know now that you guys have 4 stores. No, 5.
Yeah, 4 stores. 2 on Bank Street, 1 in Kanata, and 1 in Chelsea.
Yeah. So how's the Chelsea one doing?
It's really it's a nice little boutique. It's a beautiful store. It's a brand new building. We moved in there, and that was the first time we moved into a building, and we didn't have to fix the floor and fix the wall.
Oh, it must have been nice.
We just moved in, and it was beautiful. And
we
were lucky. We have experts. We have very recognized experts working there. We have We have this guy Eric Bernard that was that he's known as a great mechanic industry wide, and then there is Philip Liszkowski, that guy everybody knows him as a ski boot fitter, and like he's very good. So anyway, we have
but that was yeah, I mean we've talked a lot. Yeah, I was excited to actually see another bike shop in the Chelsea area, especially one that did like downhill skiing, because I don't think that there's anything close by actually that caters to downhill skiing in our.
Well, I mean, they have a Fortune has a ski shop.
Oh, they do. Well,
and there used to be Shaver Sports. You know, Scott Shaver used to have a shop at Fortune.
Yeah.
Then he moved down to Chelsea. Actually, he opened a shop. You know where Mama Teresa is now?
Yeah.
But he wasn't successful. That was like
I remember that.
That was Scott Shaver. Yeah. He was a national team. He's an Olympian, but he made a mistake by moving out of Fortune.
Yeah.
And anyway, so yeah.
Yes. Well,
we feel the gap.
So being an entrepreneur, are you enjoying? Are you retired from the shops, or what's your role right now?
Well, to be honest, you know, not voluntarily.
Are you just enjoying downhill skiing and the grandkids?
Well, I ski every day almost, and I am involved in the business, you know, but much less than before. I used to be there every day, or at least 3-4 times a week.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's the pandemic that really messed up my life. I'm old, and my kids think that COVID will kill me, but I think the withdrawal from the activities will probably kill me before the COVID will.
Well, yeah, I know, man. A lot of people kind of feel that way.
I help customers, and I meet a lot of people at Fortune, and so I'm still I'm not gone, but yeah.
Are you
I'm
not
very good at retiring, you know, because I'm.
Yeah, well, I know retirement's kind of like a very loose word. Like my dad is like the same, you know. You say he's retired, but really he's not. Like, you know, you can never stop kind of the business and the man, and he just keeps finding other things to do.
It's important for your self-worth, you know, to be able to wake up in the morning and I have to do something, you know, like to have a goal, to have something to and I'm working hard at I mean, I had some health issues, and so I'm recovering, and I'm doing well, and I feel strong, and I am hoping actually to get back to ski racing next year.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I was testing myself this year, and I think I passed, you know, at least a little bit. Well, I had some issues with my eyes, and with my I had knee replacement surgeries and all kinds of stuff.
Okay. Well, I know that you're going to get back at it, because, you know.
Sorry, I gave you such a long story.
Hey, no, oh my gosh, don't be sorry, Peter. That was amazing. That was really good. And, you know, we're going to wrap it up. And I encourage everybody to go to Coonstats.com, pick up Peter's book, and just dive into, you know, the past and his story about how he got over to Canada. I am really intrigued about getting into this book. It's really well laid out, and anyways, and I encourage you guys to go to the website and pick yours up today. The Promised Land, a life's journey success to Canada.
On the face, that's my dad and me.
Oh,
that little guy that's me.
Hey guys, can you see that?
In Slovakia, yeah.
I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to give this a read. Thank you so
Excellent.
much. And look, he might even, he signed it for me. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks for the opportunity. It was very nice. I
Oh,
enjoyed
it
it.
was my pleasure. And you
It
know
was fun.
what? Like, how could I not? Like I said, you're such a legend. I mean, your kids are
Thank
a
you.
legend. Your store is one of the oldest, most reputable stores in Ottawa for, you know, a lot of things, like you said, tennis to downhill skiing to cycling. I mean,
We
you're
also have
always at the
cross-country
ski
skiing. Yeah.
hills. You see their Coonstats flags, support representatives, like posters, and you're just great, I guess, supportive of the
Oh, we
communities,
are
I should
definitely
say.
we are definitely part of the community. We definitely
Yeah. And I didn't
help. Yeah.
realize like your kids were so involved in all the sports, like the tennis
Oh yeah, yeah. Eric and Ronnie
yeah.
were actually on Ontario team ski jumpers.
Yeah,
You
I
know
read
those
that. I
long
read
jumps,
that.
those 100-meter jumps. They were Ontario team. They were actually pretty impressive.
Well, I read your
That
little
was one thing I was
insert.
scared of.
I read your little insert here where you said you couldn't support them to send them to the camp, the ski camp, and then they went into
Ski jumping.
jumping.
And made a success of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if how could they not? You know, like
Uh,
you just give them a different focus, and
yeah.
still
Well,
skiing.
I'm very proud of my kids for sure.
Yeah, you should be. All right. Well, thank you, because, you know, it's a family business. And, you know, if it weren't for you, if it
Yeah.
weren't for them, we wouldn't have Kunstadt Sports here in the Ottawa region and Chelsea. So make sure, everybody, that you put your notifications on and that you share this with somebody you know who's probably you been to Kunstadt Sports. You know, wonder what's the story behind where it originated. Put your notifications on, give us a 5-star review, and thank you so much for listening to our listeners, and thanks a lot. I'm gonna have to tag Eric and Ronnie in this, and when it's posted. So anyways, have an amazing day, and thanks again, Peter. It was
Thank you very much.
a pleasure.
Thanks for the opportunity.